Good morning, dear students. Today we are going to discuss about fourth ventricle. Ventricles which are present in the brain, they contain cerebrospinal fluid. We have the two lateral ventricles, one third ventricle, and fourth ventricle in the brain. So this fourth ventricle, it is a tent-like cavity. As you can see in this picture, it is a tent-like cavity of the hindbrain situated in the posterior cranial fossa. It is triangular in outline and in sagittal section and appears rhomboid in shape in horizontal section. Location of the fourth ventricle, it is located behind the pons. You can see brainstem here, midbrain, pons and medulla oblongata. So behind the pons and upper part of the medulla oblongata is the location of fourth ventricle and in front of the cerebellum. In front of the cerebellum and behind the pons and upper part of the medulla oblongata. So this cavity of the fourth ventricle, it is lined by ependyma and it is filled with cerebrospinal fluid. Important features of the fourth ventricle, it has recesses, angles, boundaries, and the choroid plexus. So we have recesses of the fourth ventricle, angles, boundaries, and choroid plexus. Coming to the recesses of the fourth ventricle, the recesses are 5 in number, as you can see in the diagram. Basically, they are the extensions from the cavity of the fourth ventricle. The recesses are nothing but the extensions from the cavity of the fourth ventricle. So they are 5 in number. We have 2 lateral recesses. One median dorsal recess and 2 lateral dorsal recesses. So these are the recesses of the fourth ventricle, which are nothing but extensions from the cavity of the fourth ventricle. 2 lateral recesses, 1 median dorsal recess, and 2 lateral dorsal recesses. So if you see, the 2 lateral dorsal recesses or the lateral recess, it is one on each side, the lateral recess, and it extends laterally in the interval between the inferior cerebellar peduncle and peduncle of flocculus. Okay, so let me show you in this diagram. These are the lateral recesses. So they extend laterally between the inferior cerebellar peduncle and the peduncle of flocculus. Peduncle of flocculus dorsally. So this lateral extremity of the recess, it reaches up to the flocculus. and opens into the subarachnoid space of the cerebellopontine angle as a lateral aperture. So these are the lateral apertures. They are also known as the foramen of Luschka. Foramen of Luschka. So through which the part of the choroid plexus bulges out. Okay, that is about lateral recesses. So they extend laterally between the inferior cerebellar peduncle and peduncle of the flocculus. The lateral extremity of the recess, it reaches up to the flocculus and opens into the subarachnoid space of the cerebellopontine angle as the lateral aperture. This lateral aperture also known as the foramen of Luschka, through which part of the choroid plexus bulges out. Then we have a median dorsal recess. This is a median dorsal recess. It extends into the white core of the cerebellum and it lies just above the nodule of the cerebellum. Then we have two lateral dorsal recesses, one on each side of the median dorsal recess. They project dorsally above the inferior medullary velum, immediately lateral to the nodule. That is about recesses. Coming to the angles of the fourth ventricle, the cavity of the fourth ventricle has four angles, the superior, inferior, two lateral angles. Superior angle is continuous above with the cerebral aqueduct of the midbrain. So at this place you have the superior angle. It is continuous with the cerebral aqueduct of the midbrain. Inferior angle, it is continuous with the central canal of the closed part of the medulla oblongata. So that is at this region. And two lateral angles, one on each side. On the dorsal surface of the inferior cerebellar peduncle, they project as the lateral recess. Okay. So on superior angle, inferior angle, and two lateral angles. Boundaries of the fourth ventricle. On each side, fourth ventricle is bounded inferior laterally by inferior cerebellar peduncle. So this is the inferior cerebellar peduncle, supplemented by gracile and cuneate tubercles. Superior laterally by superior cerebellar peduncle. So these are the boundaries of the fourth ventricle. Coming to the roof of the posterior wall. So we can see the boundaries here also. The inferior cerebellar peduncle, inferior laterally, and superior laterally by superior cerebellar peduncle. Coming to the roof of the posterior wall of the fourth ventricle. The roof of the fourth ventricle, it is tent shaped, has upper and lower sloping surfaces. The apex of the tent extends posteriorly into the white core of the cerebellum. So in the upper part, the convergence of the two superior cerebellar peduncles we can see, and a thin sheet of white matter, that is superior medullary velum. This is a roof or the posterior wall in the upper part. Lower part of the roof, we see inferior medullary velum, this purple color one, median aperture, which is known as the foramen of Magendie, and T-shaped choroid plexus. T-shaped choroid plexus. So these are the features of the lower part of the roof of the fourth ventricle. So lower part of the roof, it is formed by thin sheet of non-nervous tissue, that is inferior medullary velum, which is formed by ventricular ependyma and pia mater. The lower part of the inferior medullary velum has a large aperture in the median plane, that is foramen of Magendie, through which the cavity of the fourth ventricle communicates with the subarachnoid space. Subarachnoid space of the cerebellomedullary system, that is cisterna magna, we say. Cisterna magna. So that is about upper part and the lower part of the roof of the fourth ventricle. We also have the tela choroidea of the fourth ventricle. Tela choroidea of the fourth ventricle is the double layered fold of pia mater between the inferior vermis and the cerebellum. And lower part of the roof of the fourth ventricle. So it has two layers, dorsal layer and ventral layer. Dorsal layer lines the inferior vermis and ventral layer, it is continuous with the pia mater covering the dorsal aspect of the medulla oblongata. What about this choroid plexus of the fourth ventricle? The capillary plexus of the blood vessels between the two layers of the tela choroidea, they form the rich vascular fringe which projects through the lower part of the roof of the fourth ventricle to form choroid plexus. So this choroid plexus in the lower part of the roof of the fourth ventricle, it is derived from the branches of posterior inferior cerebellar artery. Posterior inferior cerebellar artery. So this choroid plexus is projects into the cavity through lower part of the roof, and this entire choroid plexus, it is T-shaped, where vertical limb of the T is doubled with the foramen of Magendie. The horizontal limb of the plexus on each side into the lateral recess protrudes through lateral aperture, that is foramen of Luschka, and then into the subarachnoid space. So that is about roof. Coming to the floor or the rhomboid fossa. Floor, it is diamond shaped. It is formed by posterior surface of the pons and upper part of the medulla oblongata. It is rhomboid shaped or diamond shaped. So because of the diamond shape, it is also known as the rhomboid fossa. So we shall divide the floor of the fourth ventricle into three parts: the upper triangular part, which is nothing but the posterior surface of the pons; the lower triangular part, that is the upper part of the posterior surface of the medulla oblongata; the intermediate part at the junction between the medulla and pons. Now, what are the features of the floor of the fourth ventricle? What is this median sulcus? First, number 1 point, the entire floor, this is the floor what we can see here, the entire floor of the fourth ventricle, it is divided into right and left symmetrical halves by median sulcus. By median sulcus. In this diagram also we can make out. The entire floor is divided into right and left equal halves, symmetrical halves by median sulcus. On each side of the median sulcus, there is a longitudinal elevation called medial eminence. Medial eminence, we can see here. This is median sulcus, and this is lateral to the median sulcus. We have medial eminence. Medial eminence, it is bounded laterally by the sulcus limitans. This you can see. This is sulcus limitans. All should practice this diagram. Floor of the fourth ventricle is very, very important from examination point of view. So number 1 point, there is a median sulcus which divides the floor of the fourth ventricle into two symmetrical halves. Then on either side of the median sulcus, there is a longitudinal elevation which is known as medial eminence. Medial eminence bounded laterally by sulcus limitans. Sulcus limitans. Now, lateral to the sulcus limitans overlay the vestibular nuclei, hence it is termed as vestibular area. So this region, exactly where the cursor is there, this is vestibular area. Then what is the superior fovea? Upper end of the sulcus limitans, exactly at this region. Upper end of the sulcus limitans widens into a triangular depression that is called superior fovea. So this vestibular area, which is lateral to the sulcus limitans, this area lies partly in the pons and partly in the medulla oblongata, that you must remember. The upper end of the sulcus limitans widens into a triangular depression called superior fovea. So above the superior fovea, exactly at this, above the superior fovea, this region, which is sulcus limitans, it flattens out and presents a bluish gray area. So this bluish gray area, this is known as the locus coeruleus. So locus coeruleus, the color is due to the presence of underlying group of nerve cells containing melanin pigment. So in the locus coeruleus, the color is due to the presence of the underlying group of nerve cells containing melanin pigment, which constitute substantia ferruginea. Substantia ferruginea. So the neurons of the locus coeruleus contain large quantities of norepinephrine or noradrenaline. I told you, bluish gray area, this is known as the locus coeruleus, and they contain this, that the neurons of the locus coeruleus contain large quantities of norepinephrine or noradrenaline. The lowermost part of the sulcus limitans, it presents a small depression which is known as the inferior fovea. So this is the inferior fovea. On either side of the medial eminence shows an oval swelling in the pontine part of the floor at the level of superior fovea. That is these two swellings here, oval swellings, they are known as the facial colliculus. Facial colliculus. So that is in the floor of the fourth ventricle in the posterior surface of the pons. So the facial colliculus, it is produced by fibers from the motor nucleus of the facial nerve looping around the abducens nucleus. So this is actually, it is known as internal genome of the facial nerve. So on each side of the medial eminence, we have an oval swelling, that is facial colliculus, produced by that is looping of facial nerve around the abducens nucleus. The sulcus limitans, sulcus divides the medial eminence of the hypoglossal triangle above and vagal triangle below. So we can see here two triangles. One is the hypoglossal triangle and the other is the vagal triangle. So the sulcus divides the medial eminence in the medullary part of the floor into two triangles. One is hypoglossal triangle above and vagal triangle below. So that you must remember in the posterior surface of the medulla oblongata. With the lower end, the sulcus limitans divides the medial eminence into two triangles, the hypoglossal and the vagal triangle. Above you have the hypoglossal triangle. So this hypoglossal triangle, it contains hypoglossal nerve nucleus and nucleus intercalatus. Whereas the vagal triangle, it overlies the nucleus of vagus, glossopharyngeal and accessory nerves. The features of the lower part of the floor of the fourth ventricle, they resemble with that of a pen nib. So these features, they resemble that of a pen nib. Hence it is called calamus scriptorius. Calamus scriptorius, okay. So vagal triangle, I told you that it not only contains the nucleus of vagus nerve, but also the glossopharyngeal and cranial accessory nerves. The vagal triangle, it is crossed by translucent ridge called funiculus separamus. You can see here, this is funiculus separamus. Small area between the funiculus separamus above and gracile tubercle below is called area postrema. This is the area postrema. This area consists of highly vascular neuroglial tissue. Area postrema consists of highly vascular neuroglial tissue. The inferior lateral margins of the fourth ventricle, they are marked by a narrow white ridge called taeniae. The two taenia meet at the inferior angle of the ventricle to form a small fold called obex. So these are the obex. So you can see the taeniae, right? These are the taeniae, and where the two taeniae meet at the inferior angle of the ventricle, they form a small fold known as obex. The term obex is often used to denote the inferior angle of the fourth ventricle. So that is about the taeniae. So these are the features of the floor of the fourth ventricle, which is very, very important. Then you also see here, these are in the midline, actually the intermediate part of the floor of the fourth ventricle. This is actually the junction between the pons and medulla oblongata. This intermediate part, it is prolonged laterally on either side over the inferior cerebellar peduncle and the floor of the lateral recess. So the surface of the intermediate part, it presents a delicate bundles of transversely arranged fibers. So these fibers are known as the stria medullaris. The stria medullaris. This point also you have to remember. That is in the intermediate part. Delicate bundle of transversely arranged fibers, which are known as the stria medullaris. So we have completed about the fourth ventricle location, roof of the fourth ventricle and floor of the fourth ventricle. Now clinical correlation. There is a condition which is known as medulloblastoma. So the tumors in the region of the fourth ventricle, they are not common. So the most common tumor in the region of the floor of the fourth ventricle, that is medulloblastoma. It occurs mostly in children. And medulloblastoma, it is highly malignant and produces signs and symptoms of cerebellar lesion. So or it may press the vital centers located beneath the floor of the ventricle, and it causes cardiac irregularities, tachycardia, irregular respiration, and vasomotor disturbances. So that is known as the medulloblastoma. That is a highly malignant tumor in the fourth ventricle. What is internal hydrocephalus? Internal hydrocephalus, if the openings in the roof of the ventricle, like we have foramen of Magendie, and so that foramen of Magendie and foramen of Luschka, if these openings in the roof of the fourth ventricle, they are blocked by tumor or any other reason, so what happens? The CSF cannot escape from the ventricular system into the subarachnoid space. So this will lead to excessive accumulation of CSF within the ventricular system, and it produces internal hydrocephalus. So these two conditions you have to remember. One is medulloblastoma, which is a malignant disease, and it produces cerebellar lesions, and it causes irregularities like cardiac irregularities and the tachycardia, irregular respiration, and vasomotor disturbances. So internal hydrocephalus is due to the growing tumor, and it blocks the foramens in the roof of the fourth ventricle and causes internal hydrocephalus. So dear students, fourth ventricle is very, very important question from examination point of view. You have to memorize this and practice the diagram. Okay. So with this, we have completed the fourth ventricle. Thank you very much.